Hi Shedhacks, Ellie's helping me out today and we're going to be doing the Mortise and Tenon joint. That's the last joint out of the 4. And the Mortise and Tenon, oh, there's the bridle falling off, is that joint there. That's the Mortise and Tenon. Now on this one the mortise is full width, but often it has a slight angle there called a shoulder. So the actual joint's slightly smaller than the width of the wood, and that's called a shouldered mortise and tenon. So we'll start doing that. What do you think, Ellie?
I think it's really cool. What kind of objects often use these kind of joints?
Well, window frames, doors. We're moving away now in society away from plastic for windows and doors because it's not sustainable, and they're moving back into using timber again. Sustainable timbers such as pine woods, and I think that's a good thing. Plastics should be avoided really at all costs. Now moving back to this, you can chisel out the hole for the mortise. Okay, let's get it out here. You can chisel out the hole for the mortise, marking it out, or you could drill it out. You could do a series of holes.
Which would you say was easiest? More efficient?
If I was on site, a construction site, and I happened to do this quickly, I'd probably drill them out, to be honest. So that's what I'll probably suggest to the viewers. Drill them out with a size of drill bit, which is in that case about 12mm. Quite big. Or you could simply chisel it. And chiseling method, in fact in this one we won't go full width. Hold the chisel on it, moving down the line. Just make that tighter.
What wood are you using here?
That's pine wood. So it's I think this is actually a deal. It's called deal. And we'll chisel that all around like that. Then you can start scooping out. And I've noticed the best technique is to hold the chisel so it can scoop out like that. And keep scooping. Can you see that, Ellie?
It's quite satisfying.
And again I can come from this way, and don't go too far and just twist at the end. Okay, so you're chiseling and then twist, and every now and again go deeper, keeping it vertical. If you come around here, it has to be vertical, and just go deeper and deeper. Now you're going to ask me how deep to go, aren't you? Will you?
Yep, how deep do you go?
Right, well, the best thing to do is to go, I think, about 2/3 down. So don't go all the way through. You can do, but it can cause problems when you go through because it could blow out the bottom of the timber. So I go about so far in, so far down, 2/3 of the depth. So if you come round in a minute, I'll show you this. And you can go down the side there and take off a piece. And the main thing, you maintain this vertical here and that vertical there. And you keep going down. Okay, and we'll keep going and I'll come back to Shedhacks.
So how's it going?
It's going alright. Mortise and Tenon part 3, I think now. I'm going to cut off a piece here to line up with that. Can you see? for that to fit in there, I've got to make this slightly smaller. So I'm going to cut off a piece here called the shoulder on both sides. I'll line it up.
And what's the shoulder again?
It's the piece that actually, I'll show you. If I cut off that and that, it will leave a little shoulder here called a shoulder, like we have a shoulder. There's the body, if you like, and that's the shoulder here. Good question. So I'll cut that off and let's see if it fits. Very carefully cut to the side. Really carefully do that. It's probably better, Shedhacks, turn your wood as you cut it. So that. Yeah, I think it's that way around. Yes, can you see that's going to go in?
Perfect.
And now what I've got to do, because it's obviously deeper than I need it to be, you can estimate the depth, putting a pencil in there, taking the pencil out, putting the wood on the side, and then you know how much to take off. There's other ways. Put a ruler in. It's about 27 millimeters, and take off the 27 millimeters from the shoulder there. So I'll mark that.
Are you using the ruler technique is more accurate?
Yes, ruler better. And again, if you can, use a tri-square. Make your mark. Okay, we'll cut that off. It's important to have a decent length joint to make it strong. If it's too short, it won't work. Okay, there's our joint. Okay, a little bit of trimming I could do there, so there's no gap there at all. But it's pretty good, not bad. Okay, so that's mortise and tenon.
So to measure like how accurate it is, could you see if it's 90 degree where the two pieces of wood
Yes,
meet?
it's a good point. When you put your joint inside, use your tri-square to check and put it right in the middle. Check it's 90 degrees. Yeah? Okay, mortise and tenon.
What's probably the hardest part while making this joint? Requires the most skill?
Using the marking gauge, using the chisel, keeping the chisel sharp, and obviously when you're cutting, you cut on the inside of the line, so you're not cutting the joint to be wider than it needs to be. Okay, so it's still a nice tight joint. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you, Shedhacks. There's the mortise and tenon. It will fit in there, Ellie. This is the second part to the mortise and tenon clip. Quite hard. Treat it as if the piece of wood is full length. We'll trim that part off later. Okay. So mark up as if it's going right in there. This is 2 scraps I'm using from another project. And then if you come in here, Ellie, can you see I've lined up there, and I can use the marking gauge again to line that up, and you can adjust this by coming back there, and I'll just adjust that.
So what are you checking here?
I'm going to remark up this joint. This is called a marking gauge. Okay, there are the pins. If you haven't got one of these, you just use a ruler, and we're marking this up. Okay, and you should mark the end as well across there. It's very hard to see, so I'm going to go over it for the camera with my pencil. I can just see the scratch lines, but that's just to help you on the camera. Okay, so that's going to go into here. So I better mark down the back here, Ellie. There. And you might ask, how wide are these? You can vary them. Normally a third, and a third. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But you can vary it if you want to. When you've marked up this, perhaps then you can mark up that just in case it's slightly out. And then to cut this, put this in the vise here.
If any mistakes are made when marking up, is there any way of maybe coming around that, or usually do you have to restart?
I suppose you just be really careful. If you've made a mistake, you can actually counteract the mistake, change the size of this timber to make it fit, as long as you haven't cut both out and you made the mistake in a sense twice. So you can make this wider if you've made that too wide. So try square on there again, and we'll cut this out. Same as before, all the way down to here, all the way down, at an angle, coming across all the way down the timber. Now what I'll do, I'll cut that off down there, and then I'll cut off here. Okay, so we'll come back to you when we've done that cut, and then I can turn it, and I'll show you in a moment that cut there. Again, not over the line. So 2 of those. Okay, make sure it's dead square. Okay. Come back to you in a minute on that one.
So Dad, why is it called a dovetail joint?
Oh yes, no, good point. Because it looks like a dove's tail. There you go. Quite clearly, I suppose, like a dove's tail. Very wedged. So we're returning back to the 4-jointed project. And there's our design. You can do your own design, of course. It can vary. And what we've researched from this book here, Jake, we've noticed that the angles can change quite significantly from the type of wood you're using to one type of wood to the other. So on a harder wood, the angle is slightly shallower. On a softer wood, the angle is slightly higher. And the reason for that is, I think, it's relatively obvious. The softer wood, because it's softer, cannot maintain the strength if it has a very shallow angle. So if I come over here, on a softer wood, the angle has to be slightly larger. If it's slightly shallower, say finishes there, because the wood's soft, you could actually pull the joint out. So what we've discovered through our research, for harder woods, the angle can be quite shallow, between 7 and 9 degrees. For hard and medium density woods, you're looking at 10 to 14 degrees. And then soft woods, as I mentioned, from 14 to 18 degrees. Okay, I hope that helps. Now to solve all that, you can actually buy dovetail squares, and that is actually the medium there. It's between 10 and 14 degrees. I think it is actually about 12 degrees actually. So that's sort of a good general rule to use in terms of the angle, about 12 degrees. Okay, so we're going to make our dovetail joint. There's one piece there, and there's the other piece. These are scraps. Yes, Jake?
Would it be called a lapped dovetail because it's half?
Yes, yeah, it is a lap joint. It's because we're only using half here. This part's coming off, and this is going to be... Yes, good. You can't go right through because you'll see the wood, it'll just fall off. So, yeah. Dovetail joints are used as corner joints, often in construction. So we have to mirror the joint there to there, and this is at D. So remember, mark up all your joints and make sure it's face edge. This is a scrap piece, so that's the... Yes, Jake?
Are you marking it a D for dovetail?
Well, I can do, but it doesn't have to be. And this is our face edge line here. It's our nicest side from here and here. Okay, so just keep these sides all the same. Going back to here, Jake. So this is my side I work from, the face edge they call it. Okay, you can vary that. You can have your face edge on the outside, but keep it, whatever you do, maintain the same principle. Okay, so I'm going to place that there. Now, I could have easily made a mistake and made the dovetail the wrong size. So remember, the dovetail gets bigger as you go to the edge of the wood. A near mistake there, wasn't it, Jake? So there you go. And I'll turn it around for there. And I think with these joints, I mean, you could make it narrow if you wanted. It doesn't have to go full width. Could come in. Could be there, I suppose. But that has to be level. Yeah, turn it around, it has to be level. And whatever you do on this side, you do the same on there, so it's symmetrical again. This is the piece we're taking out. We're not following that line. So what I suggest you do, take out that. Okay, Jane? Yes.
So how are we going to cut that out with like the bench hook and a tenon saw?
Oh, I'll show you. So we're going to go from that line there, we're going to measure down. Right down, so if you come, can you see that, Jane? You slide that down neatly. Another line there. This is now the bit you're going to cut out. So let's not get confused. Let's rub out the bits you don't want. Now you could do this with a marking out gauge. You could do a lot of these marks using this, and you could adjust it and make marks if you wanted to. You could make marks with the marking out gauge and tighten it as a single pin or double pin, depending on what you're doing. So whatever suits you, it depends on what equipment you've got, of course, doesn't it? Right, okay. So I think that's it. I think I assume that everyone's got the equipment. Of course, that may not be the case. So, Shedhacks, you work with what you've got, okay? I think it's brilliant that you're having a go. That's the main thing in learning. So that's that one done. And then, when I started out doing this, I didn't have much, did I, Jake? Hardly anything. That goes there.
So then, why is there going to be a dovetail on that side and a dovetail on that side? But oh, I see. That's going to be the cutout, and that's going to be the actual dovetail.
Yeah, yeah. That's the bit we're keeping, and that's the bit we're not keeping. But again, half the depth, half depth. There, bit of a thick line. And we're going to keep this bit, and we're going to cut this piece out. And double check. Keep double checking what you're doing. That's the most common thing mistake people make. They cut off the wrong piece. Now I've made that all look easy, but keep using your tri-square all the time. So tri-square, 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 and making sure you're working from an accurate line there. Okay. And if you don't think that's going to be level there, because that may be wobbling, just measure it using a ruler. Do everything really precisely. There and there. Okay. Okay, we'll move this here. Oh, I wanted to also mention, guys, going back to this design, don't forget the sizes are 500 millimeters by 300 by 300, and that distance there is about 39 millimeters. But you can vary it depending on if you're making it for a window or if you're just making it for a project. Okay, again, that's the design I used. Yours might be slightly different. Okay, and you could do your arrangement. The joints could be all different, couldn't they? You could have your two dovetails or two bridle joints, whatever you want to do. So from this example scrap piece, we'll cut these out. So quite tricky. I'm going to cut down there and cut this off, and then I'm going to cut down there. So I think probably better to cut that piece off first. Put it in your vise. Or you haven't got a vise, you can clamp it with a G-clamp. As you know, you could clamp it with one of those. And I'm going to, that's the bit I want, and that's the piece I don't want. So again. Don't go over the line. Go along the line there, bring it down slowly. Now you're going over the end grain of the wood. That's the end of the tree would have grown that way. So this is going to be quite hard because you're cutting across the end grain. So establish that line, and now I'm going to come down that line. Nice and level guys, and then I can turn it round. Could use a bench hook for this. Checking what I'm doing that's across. I'm taking this piece off. You can use two hands if you want. You can use two hands. I do sometimes. Don't push down, it'll just grip. Get that corner nice and straight. That's that. And now these parts.
Oh, also viewers, quick tip. Don't let your workbench or your shed get too dusty or dirty. Otherwise it could be hard to work in there.
Yes, keep it tidy if you can. Yeah, good idea, Jake. Move that back down, hit your hand. Ready? This is hard, you've got to start off. This is really quite tricky for you. If you come down this side, Jay, if you move around that side. I think this is quite tricky. So I'm going to come down, keep it level. You see I'm still keeping that line, guys. Yeah, and then I can come across from the side. If you've got the skill, you can come across from the side like that. Okay, and I'll cut off the same. And I'll come back to you in a few moments. Back to the dovetail joint. We've marked out the one side of the joint here, and this side we've already cut. Just trim that there. You can chisel it very carefully. Better to make the joint slightly larger than you need, or precisely, than make it too small. It's very hard then to add on material, of course. And we marked out the other side, making sure at all times it's dead square. Dead square. Okay, it mustn't be twisted, you're in trouble. So dead square. Now I'm going to cut this out, Tenon saw again. Right down to the line. That's that. Okay, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now actually to make this easy for me to chisel out, I'm going to do a cut in the middle, I think, Jake.
Okay.
I may even do two cuts. Do one here. Just to make, you'll see why. Make it so much easier for me. And then I'm going to use a chisel and a mallet.
And make sure the chisels are nice and sharp.
Yes, Yes, that must be kept very sharp. Go to somebody who's an adult and able to do this to keep that sharp for you. I'll do a little clip on sharpening chisels.
Yeah.
Perhaps a bit later. Hold it on there. Now don't go mad, guys. Light taps. And then I'm going to turn it around.
And try not to hit the chisel too hard.
Oh, that's good. On the line.
And there we go. It looks
yeah,
pretty
it's
clean.
pretty good. A little bit here, bit of chiselling. You come around this side, Jake. Oh, wait there.
Oh.
Well done. We're getting used to this filming business, aren't we, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can expect maybe another video every week.
Well,
So?
I don't know if we can maintain that,
Well,
but we'll try to.
yeah,
I
we'll
think
give it a go.
you could be working for the BBC at this rate, Jake. And is this going to work, Shedhacks? Let's see.
Well, let's hope
what do you
so.
think, Jake? It's going to work? First time?
It's going to be pretty well good. But you've got to take it out of the vice. Actually.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean,
I think
it's not bad
it's looking good.
because it's tight.
And I'm
so.
tell you what I'm going to do, Shedhacks. I'm going to get a scrap bit of wood. There. Little tight.
So why?
Oh no, it's the wood. Let's.
Dad, why are you using a scrap piece of wood?
I just don't want to put a load of dents in my wood here. So yeah, I see that sometimes. Ready? Now that's pretty neat.
I mean,
So
it's a little too tight. I would say.
okay, so what I'm going to do, and this is what you should do. Take it out.
And then are you just going to chisel a little bit?
You can either chisel a little piece off here. You'll probably find it could be just a lump. Or I think it's easier to chisel very carefully.
Oh, very neat. And then that should fit.
Should do. I'll just take a little bit more off there, Jake.
Yeah.
Make sure that's nice and clean. Ready? Sorry about the noise. Pretty good, guys.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Can't really see much of a joint. I mean, a gap. I can trim off a little bit there so it's completely flushed. Okay, about 1 millimetre. But yeah, that's a very strong joint. Very strong. Great.